Welcome to our YouTube channel, where wisdom meets inspiration. In this channel, we share valuable insights to help you become the best version of yourself. Our content is designed to uplift your spirit and enrich your life. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to stay connected with this incredible journey. Click the subscribe button below.
Om Namah Shri Atirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukhaswarupaya Swamine Tapaharine. Revered Swami Jitakamananji Maharaj and all the assembled dignitaries, professors and very dear students, the young of India, who are all celebrating the National Youth Day. Now, without restricting myself to Swami Vivekananda as an inspiration to our Indian youth, I would rather think it would be appropriate, because I live in London, and the youth there are equally enthusiastic and are seeking inspiration for their lives, for their careers, and for their well-being, and want to contribute something to society. And they are searching for an ideal which enables them to do so. So Vivekananda, as an inspiration for the Indian youth, is part of his role. He is an inspiration for the world youth. Recently, a wonderful book was released just a year ago, written by one of the professors of one of the most important colleges in Oxford University, All Souls College, where our own Dr. Ramakrishna chaired the Center for Oriental Philosophy long ago. So it was a philosophy chair. But this lady, who is a Jew, who is of Jewish origin, her name is Ruth Harris. She wrote a wonderful book. And in that book, the name of that book, it will surprise many of us Indians. She writes, the name of the book is Swami Vivekananda, the Guru to the World. I asked her, why did you use the word Guru? Because Guru is a typically Indian word. So she said, teacher does not convey the whole meaning. He was literally a guru. He was an inspiration, not just as a teacher, but also as a father, also as a person who could inspire everyone, especially the young of the entire world. In fact, if you see Swami Vivekananda's inspiration, which reached out to the world in English language, it first inspired a young person who died at a very young age of 30. Many of you know his name. His name was J.J. Goodwin. If Goodwin had not come, if this youth from England, who was at that time living in America, he was leading a very loose life, sort of. He was just adventurous. He went to different countries looking for a job. The only good thing he knew was stenography. He was a wonderful stenographer. And he lost his jobs many times. He went to Australia. He was an adventurous person. He would not settle down in life. Such a person meets Vivekananda by accident. He was in America looking for a job in New York, and suddenly reads an advertisement that we need a stenographer, because when Swami Vivekananda gave his talks, most of his recorded talks were recorded either in America, and many of the talks were recorded in England. and most of them are recorded in English. In fact, most of his talks were in English. So this Englishman, young Englishman, who was hardly 27 at that time, and he was not even a person who could be called as spiritual. He just wanted a job. And you see how destiny brings a youth to Vivekananda, who becomes the cause for inspiring hundreds of youths, thousands, millions of youths, not only in India but all over the world, especially India. And this young J.J. Goodwin dies in Ooty at a very young age. In a brief period, this youth saved a lot of, without him, the whole complete works which we have now would not have been recorded. We should remember that. So one youth, though he was not devoted, not even culturally aware of anything Indian, remotely Indian, just he was a very good steno and could take notes of the talks which Swamiji delivered. And they wanted someone who was really good, because Swamiji's speech, to record it, there was no audio recording in those days. So you had to depend on stenographers. And Goodwin initially took employment with Swami Vivekananda. This youth was just looking for a job to just earn a living, as he was starving. And then after 2 months, or after a few months, he said, I am not going to work for a salary anymore. When they asked why, he said, if this young man, who is inspiring so many people, can work for free, the least I can do is not take a salary. And he decided to become a disciple. He followed Swami Vivekananda wherever he went, throughout America, England, Europe, and also the lectures from Colombo to Almora. Even in the hot weather, that young disciple of Swami Vivekananda, Swami Vivekananda used to endearingly call him my Ganesha, because Vyasa's Mahabharata and all the writings would not have been there if Ganesha had not written those things, recorded those things. Vyasa spoke, but Ganesha recorded it. So Swamiji lovingly called him my Ganesha, this J.J. Goodwin. So he was a youth. If he can get inspiration, and within a few days of working for Swamiji as an employed by his devotees, he could transform himself and practically give up his life. He died under tragic circumstances, and Swami Vivekananda said, perhaps that is a sign that there will be no more recording of my speeches. My dearest Goodwin has died. So Swami Vivekananda was an eternal inspiration not only of Indian youth, but youth all over the world. Obviously, they did a lot for India. I'm giving you the example because I come from England. 4 of his foremost disciples, they were all youthful people. Sister Nivedita was very young. She was a very powerful, well accomplished in learning, in education, one of the finest teachers, inventor of many new educational systems in Wimbledon in England. And though she belonged to a religious family, her father was a priest, Roman Catholic priest, but at the same time she was searching for some higher values. And this young lady was a graduate at the age of 19 and already working in England for the education of primary children, using her own wonderful methods with Montessori, the Montessori method and many other methods. This young woman, Margaret Noble, was another youth who dedicated her whole life at the call of Swami Vivekananda to the educational work that he wanted her to do in India. She gave up everything. She gave up her career, she gave up everything to work for Swamiji's pet project and lived and died in India. And in the process, she not only worked for girls' education. You will be surprised to know in those days hardly 1% of girls had access to primary education. And Swamiji felt that how can a country prosper if its women are denied even fundamental primary education? I am talking of 1898 when she finally comes and starts one of the first schools, Sister Nivedita schools for women, for girls. Parents would not send their girls to the school, they were so orthodox. So this youthful energy, wherever it was, Swami Vivekananda could inspire and bring out of these wonderful youths, or even ordinary youths. Goodwin was not so well, not a very accomplished academician. He was just a vagabond type of youth, just wandering on the street and looking for odd jobs with the very little qualification that he had. And he transforms. You see how much transformation has taken place because of his recordings. Everything, he did everything for Vivekananda. When he was struggling in England, he used to write his letters, he used to cook his food, he used to clean his clothes and help him in every way like a sevak. So it's not just the Indian youth who are of course inspired by Vivekananda, but the youth all over the world, whoever came in touch. There were other young people. Most of his women disciples, some of them were quite old, Sister Christine, and there were so many other people. But these two stand out, and they are both from England, and they practically inspired a host of generations, not only in the field of girls' education. Take every aspect of Indian education, Indian culture, and Indian spirituality. She had a contribution to make. India could not write her own histories. We had depended on histories written by British people which were biased, which only showed the glory of the British Empire. But we have a glorious history. Sister Nivedita told the younger girls, and that just don't accept what the history that is given to you by foreigners who don't understand our culture. History is not a history of conquest of kings and all those people. It's the history of a living culture, a culture that is living, thriving. And what is that culture? That great civilization, the history of Indian civilization. Sister Nivedita came and told the girls whom she educated and also the young people, the youths of those days, including Subramanya Bharati in Tamil Nadu, wherever she met, lot of freedom fighters used to come. Even the great Shri Aurobindo, who was also very young and whom she helped to escape to Pondicherry, otherwise he would have been imprisoned. He asked them, are you not ashamed of yourself? Because Aurobindo's father had sent him to England, and he saw to it that he did not learn his own mother tongue, Bengali or Sanskrit. And when Sister Nivedita met Aurobindo for the first time, who was an officer in the state of Baroda, Sayaji Rao Gaikwad, he was an education expert there, working for the Maharaja of Baroda. And she started talking to him in Bengali and Sanskrit. She found this person is Indian, he doesn't even know his mother tongue. Said, are you not ashamed of yourself that you forget your own culture, you forget your own spiritual heritage, this cultural heritage? So she inspired the Indian youth to be first Indians themselves, understand what Indian culture is, what do we really stand for, what are the ideas that have sustained us for centuries, for thousands of years. If it is material power, if it is political power, if it is military power, that has not sustained any culture. If you go to Rome, recently we had a peace conference in one of the most destructive places in Rome, the Colosseum, where thousands of people were killed. And we are talking of peace there. Swami Vivekananda went to Europe and told the European youths and the European people, Europe is sitting on the top of a volcano. This he said before the First World War and also the Second World War which happened. He could anticipate that. So his message to them was, be careful. This materialistic civilization will destroy you. And Europe is sitting on the top of a volcano. And it will burst and it will destroy not only Europe but the whole world. Now you see, year after year, so many wars, and even today there's a war in Europe. So peace is nowhere to be found. But he emphasized, if the youth of the world want a change, not only of India but of the entire world, they have to listen to India. And in that sense he said, up India and conquer the world. Many of us think that when Swamiji says conquer the world, he means political conquest, economic conquest, like China is aspiring for, other countries are aspiring for. The only conquest we understand is political power, military power, economic power. And that makes you a global leader, and we think we are the most powerful nations in the world. But that is all temporary. Rome was a very powerful country, ruling almost, they conquered almost the whole world, Alexander and others. But Swamiji says, now look at that Capitol hills. It's just some buildings, very old buildings which have just crumbled. So also other great civilizations. Whoever thought that by military power, by economic power, by other social power we can conquer the world or we can make progress, they are mistaken. So that is his message for the youth, up India and conquer the world. That's the message for the youth, he said. Not by material strength, but by the power of your spirit. This power of the spirit is what we want along with the secular education, the skill education that we receive. We need skill education. In fact, Swami Vivekananda himself said, we want that man-making education that will enable a person not to be dependent on anybody, to stand on his own legs, not only boys but girls, so that instead of seeking employment, they can stand on their own legs and create opportunities for employment. That was his dream project. He told even Jamshedji Tata to facilitate that by starting the Indian Institute of Science. He definitely admitted that a culture, that India as a nation requires scientific and technological progress. But his definition of progress, if India has to remain as a civilization, he says civilization is the progressive reading of spirit into matter. This is what all our prophets, wherever they are, especially Indian prophets, Indian saints, all the great saints all over India, in every state, they said spirit always triumphs over matter. Satyam eva jayate nanritam. Only truth, the real truth will triumph. And what is that truth? The truth that the spirit will conquer the world. If you keep that intact, why is India alive? Swami Vivekananda asked this question. Why is India still alive? We were ruled for thousands of years by the British, before the British, by the Mughals. Everybody who came here tried to loot our money. And if you see the England of present day, they colonized so many countries. It's all the hard-earned wealth which they have taken, which resulted in the economic progress, the so-called economic progress of that country. For centuries they did that, not only to India but all the other colonies. But what is the condition? Will it sustain, history will tell who will survive. Even to progress materially, you need a spiritual background. That's why two types of education at the age of 6, between 6 and 8. It's a great tradition, our Gurukula tradition. Along with the skill sets that one needs to earn a living, it was made compulsory to impart the so-called spiritual education, to begin the spiritual education at the age of 6, between 6 and 8. The idea of imparting Gayatri Mantra or the Upanayana. Mind you, it was not only for one particular class or caste. It was for every human being, every person in India, in our nation, in our Bharata. And mind you, it was not only for boys. There is nowhere written that girls cannot do Gayatri. They had equal right of education. How they were deprived, history is a witness that they were not given their due till Vivekananda came, till he brought Nivedita, till Holy Mother Sri Sharda Devi came and said the women should get their due. They have as much right for physical, economic, political, social development, and also above all spiritual development. So that was Swamiji's message for the youth, that along with the skill sets, the economic skill sets, the administrative skill sets, which are absolutely essential. That is what we understand by career. If you ask anyone, everybody is talking about career development, personality development, but they're talking only one part of the personality. What about the other part? And what does spiritual development do? It gives the person, according to the Gayatri Mantra, it is Dhiyo Yona Prachodayata Om Bhur-Bhuvasvaha. This was given to everyone. And this was given even before he started schooling. At the age of 6 preferably, or latest by the age of 8. And he was to develop this buddhi, dhi, which enabled him to make, in a very simple language, the right choices in life. We are successful or not successful because of the choices that we make. We don't understand that our choices in our life cannot be made by our parents, cannot be made by our teachers. Everybody, that is what Swami Vivekananda said, stand up on your feet and be men. He meant that the message was the same for women as well. Why should somebody else be the maker of your destiny? That is his message. And what enables us to decide what is our destiny? It is this buddhi. Our Guru, our Rishis understood that. They said, along with the skills, give him the buddhi to decide what he should do with the skills which he gets from school. Otherwise, the same skill, if it is given and his buddhi has not developed, he will make wrong choices, he will become an evil person, and society will suffer. The same education, the same skills were given to Pandavas and Kauravas by the same Guru, Dronacharya. Perhaps one set of cousins took the spiritual development seriously. And the other also was very skilled. Duryodhana and all, they were very skilled. But unfortunately, they did not develop the skill of making the right choice at the right time in their life. And all these small mistakes which they made completely destroyed them, in spite of being skilled. Not that they were taught by some other guru. Guru was same. He was impartial. He gave the same skill training as well as the spiritual training, which went side by side.
Become Swami Vivekananda's messenger. Share the video with 3 of your friends.